You close your eyes and take a slow breath. With each inhale, you sink a little deeper into yourself, into a world that feels both intimate and vast. Your body quiets, and the rhythm of your heart becomes a soft drum guiding you inward. You imagine yourself shrinking, slipping past the familiar landscape of skin and bones, until you enter a space that is both microscopic and immense, the world inside your cells. Here, the air is thick with the gentle pulse of life. You sense it before you see it, a low hum, like the quiet vibration of a hidden symphony. It resonates through every tiny structure, carrying whispers of all that has been and all that is yet to come. You follow the sound, letting it guide you deeper, until you find yourself standing before a landscape woven with silver threads. These are your DNA strands. They twist and coil gracefully, delicate and infinitely complex. You reach out, fingers hovering above the glowing strands, and feel a sense of reverence. Each thread carries the story of generations, stretching backward into ancestors whose lives and choices are recorded in this intricate code. It is a tapestry of possibility and history, intimate and universal at the same time. You feel a connection that is almost tender, a reminder that you are both the product of countless moments and the author of what is still to come. As you gaze closer, the threads shimmer with light, pulsing softly with life. You realize that within each twist, there is a rhythm, a language that speaks without words. You begin to see patterns, tiny, deliberate loops and turns that seem like a dance choreographed over millennia. It is both precise and fluid, a paradox that feels familiar and magical. You notice that the threads are not rigid, they bend and sway, responding to the subtle energies around them. You follow one silver thread as it curls through the cell's interior, like a river winding through a hidden valley. Along its path, tiny molecular machines move gracefully, editing and repairing, reading and copying. You watch as they work in quiet harmony, each action purposeful yet gentle. There is no rush here, only a rhythmic flow that carries life forward. It is a world without hurry, where every movement matters, and yet none is forced. A soft curiosity stirs within you. You wonder about the stories hidden in these strands, the memories of your ancestors, the choices that shaped your existence, the possibilities that lie ahead. You imagine gently tracing the patterns with your mind, exploring the delicate twists that encode your essence. What if, just for a moment, you could play with these threads, nudging them with the lightest touch, seeing how new possibilities might unfold? The thought is not one of control, but of exploration, an intimate dialogue with life itself. You step closer, allowing your awareness to merge with the thread, feeling the faint vibrations as if they were your own heartbeat. You sense the molecules shifting subtly, responding to your attention, like water rippling under a quiet wind. It is a conversation without words, a recognition of presence. You understand that life is not just something that happens to you, it is something you inhabit, something you participate in through every breath, every thought, every subtle intention. Around you, other threads sway in unison, each one telling its own story. Some are familiar, echoing patterns you recognize from your family, your heritage, your own body's memories. Others are mysterious, unknown, hinting at futures yet to be discovered. You feel a profound gratitude for this hidden world, for the intricate choreography that sustains you, for the elegance of being alive. The hum grows softer, more intimate, as if the cell itself is whispering its secrets to you. Your awareness expands, sensing the interplay of all these threads within the cell. You notice how they are not isolated but part of a larger dance, a network of interactions that sustains balance, growth, and change. Each twist has a reason, each loop a purpose, yet the entire structure is flexible, able to adapt and respond to the world outside. You see that life is a gentle negotiation between stability and possibility, a continuous weaving of moments that shape the present and guide the future. You reach out with your imagination, letting your mind wander along the silver threads. You envision the strands softly unwinding, revealing hidden sections of code, tiny secrets folded into the double helix. Some segments glow brighter than others, as if drawing attention to their importance. You sense that even the smallest change can ripple outward, touching distant parts of the cellular landscape, influencing life in ways that are subtle and profound. It is a reminder that every thought, every intention, every breath carries potential. Time seems to slow here. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into a gentle eternity. You move along the threads, exploring, observing, feeling. You notice the elegance of replication, the quiet precision of repair, the delicate balance of chemical signals that guide the cell's function. It is a world that thrives in harmony, a symphony where each note matters, and yet the music flows effortlessly. You feel both humbled and inspired, a witness to the beauty of the invisible mechanisms that sustain your life. As you float among the threads, you begin to sense your own agency, not in the sense of control, but in the gentle capacity to influence, to observe, to learn. You recognize that curiosity itself is a form of interaction, a way of participating in the ongoing story of life. You imagine the threads shifting slightly under the lightest nudge of attention, opening possibilities, revealing hidden patterns, inviting gentle exploration. You feel a deep sense of respect for this world, and for your place within it. You pause, letting the quiet settle around you. You notice the subtle interplay of light and shadow along the strands, the soft glow that seems to breathe in time with your own heartbeat. You feel a connection that transcends simple understanding, a sense that life itself is both fragile and resilient, delicate and enduring. You realize that the silver threads are not just molecules, they are carriers of memory, of potential, of wonder. And then, as softly as you arrived, you begin to rise, your awareness gently lifting from the cellular landscape. You carry with you the sense of intimacy, of curiosity, of awe. You know that these threads are always present, humming quietly beneath the surface, guiding, shaping, and whispering their secrets. And a thought lingers, delicate and persistent. What other hidden worlds might lie waiting, just beyond the familiar, ready to reveal their quiet marvels if only you look closely? The silver threads shimmer one last time as you drift toward the edges of your awareness, their stories humming gently, unresolved, inviting you onward, toward the next gentle wonder that awaits just beyond the horizon of your mind. You hold the thought of life like a fragile paper in your hands. Its edges ripple gently, each fiber carrying the weight of countless generations. Within this delicate weave lies the code, a series of letters so small, so precise, that they orchestrate every heartbeat, every breath, every movement of the world you inhabit. And now, there is a tool, a soft quill called CRISPR, poised not to tear, but to write with intention. Imagine walking in a library where each book is alive, breathing softly, pages fluttering as if in a breeze. You see a single book, its pages dense with symbols, a story of cells, of organs, of intricate dances invisible to the eye. CRISPR is like a gentle hand, hovering above a line of text, ready to correct a letter that may have changed the meaning of an entire sentence. It is precise, elegant, and careful. Scientists approach this manuscript with reverence. They are not gods inserting their whims, they are stewards, caretakers who lean in close to listen to the story that already exists. Each experiment begins with a question whispered softly to the DNA, a curiosity that seeks to understand before it intervenes. They observe the natural rhythm of the code, feeling its pulse, learning its language. The quill waits, a patient observer, ready to follow guidance. CRISPR itself is simple in form but profound in function. It carries a tiny sequence of letters, a guide, that finds its corresponding sequence in the genome, like a key sliding into an ancient lock. Once matched, it can make a change, a deletion, an addition, a correction. But it does so lightly, as though not to disturb the book too harshly, respecting the narrative already written over millennia. In your mind, the quill floats above the pages, dipping its tip only when necessary, leaving the rest untouched. There is a quiet poetry to this process. Consider a garden where certain flowers have struggled to bloom. CRISPR can move a seed to sunlight, subtly adjusting the conditions so life may flourish. It does not invent the flower anew, it merely nudges a possibility that has always been latent, allowing nature's own design to express itself more fully. The power lies not in dominance, but in partnership, in listening, in gentle intervention. You notice the patience required. Changes do not reveal themselves immediately, life unfolds slowly, page by page. Each correction is checked, rechecked, observed for unintended ripples. There is humility here, the recognition that even a soft quill can alter the flow of a story beyond what one can predict. Scientists speak of off-target effects, of cautious trials, of ethics boards and long deliberations. Every action carries a responsibility, a need for mindfulness that mirrors the delicate care you might give to a living thing in your own hands. And yet, in this quiet precision lies wonder. The possibility of mending inherited illnesses, of giving a child a brighter chance at life, of understanding the very essence of what makes you who you are, these are not feats of hubris, but glimpses into the profound dialogue between human curiosity and the natural world. You feel the intimacy of this connection, the closeness of leaning over the genome with eyes wide open, respecting both its complexity and its beauty. CRISPR also tells a story of boundaries. There are limits to what should be changed, moments when the quill rests, waiting for questions rather than answers. Society debates, scientists reflect, ethicists ponder. The act of writing becomes an act of listening, a continuous negotiation between desire and caution. Here, In this space, science becomes a form of meditation, attentive, reflective, and deeply aware of its own implications. Imagine the letters shifting gently under the quill's guidance. Each shift is a small note of possibility, a soft whisper of what might be. The genome responds not like a machine, but like a living audience, sometimes receptive, sometimes resistant, always evolving. You feel the rhythm of this dialogue, a subtle back and forth, a dance that is neither rushed nor forced. In this, the quiet miracle of life writing itself anew emerges, a story co-authored by nature and human insight. As you explore further, you begin to see CRISPR not just as a tool, but as a metaphor for the care we take with all things we touch. It is a lesson in patience, in responsibility, in understanding the interconnectedness of life. Just as a gardener tends a fragile sprout, a scientist tends the quill, knowing that even a minor adjustment can cascade into outcomes both wondrous and unforeseen. You sense a rhythm here, one that blends curiosity with empathy, precision with respect, action with contemplation. The story extends beyond the laboratory. Every decision to use CRISPR ripples into communities, ecosystems, and generations yet unborn. It reminds you that science is not only measured by results, but by mindfulness, by the way its practitioners engage with the living world. Each line rewritten is a promise to observe carefully, to honor the subtlety of the manuscript that has carried life through eons. You watch as the quill hovers above a single nucleotide, poised to correct a mistake that has persisted for generations. There is a hush, a stillness in the laboratory, a reverence for the life that exists within those microscopic sequences. And when the change occurs, it is barely perceptible, yet it carries immense potential. The soft unfolding of possibility, the gentle nudge that might allow a new chapter to bloom. In this quiet exploration, you realize that CRISPR is not merely a technology. It is a teacher, showing how influence can be wielded lightly, how intention can be paired with care. It invites reflection on the delicate balance between action and observation, between knowing and intervening. Life, after all, is a manuscript in progress, ever writing itself, ever evolving, and the soft quill simply allows you to witness, participate, and honor that unfolding story. As you lean back from this moment, the pages of the genome settle once more, whispering with life's endless curiosity. You carry the sense of gentle possibility, of careful stewardship, of a dialogue that spans from the tiniest letters to the vastness of living worlds. And in this quiet reflection, a question stirs softly in your mind, the next gentle invitation. What stories might emerge if we listen closely enough, if we continue to tend the manuscript of life with patience, wonder, and care? You enter a quiet space within yourself, a secret garden hidden beneath layers of thought and feeling. The air here hums with the soft pulse of life, a rhythm so delicate it feels like the brushing of fingertips across silk. Every step you take seems to echo gently in the soil beneath you, where tiny roots and fragile stems weave a tapestry of potential. You notice that each gene, each strand of code, unfurls like a delicate petal, unfolding slowly, carefully, as if aware of the vast world it is about to touch. Here, in this inner landscape, mutations drift like seeds on the wind, some landing softly and growing, others vanishing quietly into the soil. You watch them not as mistakes, but as possibilities, each one a whisper of change that could ripple through the garden, altering colors, shapes, the scent of blossoms yet to appear. Your mind lingers on the gentle tension between order and chaos, the way that even a small shift can spark new life, new patterns, new dreams. You bend closer to observe a single strand of DNA, coiled like a spiral staircase, each rung a letter, each turn a story. It gleams faintly, alive with invisible energy, and you imagine tracing its path with your fingers, feeling the rhythm of countless generations flowing through it. Every turn, every twist, is a note in a silent symphony, a melody that hums in harmony with the garden around it. The sunlight filters in softly, casting moving patterns across the tiny flowers of protein and the miniature rivers of cytoplasm that feed them. As you move through the garden, you notice the small labs tucked between groves of living tissue, like glass terrariums set among the blooms. Inside each one, scientists work quietly, their hands steady and careful, tending to experiments as if they were delicate plants. You watch a pipette descend, a droplet of liquid falling like morning dew onto a culture dish. It ripples outward, spreading slowly, and you feel the echo of that ripple in the wider garden, a subtle, invisible influence that travels far beyond its immediate place. You sense the metaphor. The choices in the lab mirror the gentle hand of a gardener, shaping life without forcing it, guiding rather than commanding. Here, you realize, every action is both small and immense. A single mutation can be tiny, almost imperceptible, yet its consequences stretch outward, touching cells, organisms, ecosystems. You imagine a flower opening in the sunlight, its bloom a direct descendant of those minute shifts, a living testament to the careful interplay of chance and intention. You feel gratitude for the tiny sparks of change that drive life forward, for the patience of time, for the quiet persistence of growth. You wander further into the garden, where vines curl around invisible trellises, and the air is perfumed with the fragrance of unseen flowers. Each blossom seems to carry a message, a reminder that even the most intricate systems can grow without your interference, that life is capable of surprising creativity when given space. A soft breeze stirs the petals, and you imagine the breeze as a carrier of genes, carrying them gently from one place to another, blending, recombining, creating new possibilities. You sense the vastness of this network, the delicate connections linking every living thing, a web so intricate that even the smallest movement resonates across the whole. As you walk, your attention falls on a small pond, its surface perfectly still. Beneath the water, cells move slowly, dividing, changing, interacting. Each one is a tiny universe, a self-contained world with its own rules and rhythms. You imagine peering inside, witnessing the choreography of molecules, the dance of proteins, the careful timing of replication. There is an artistry here, a poetry that unfolds at a pace measured in nanoseconds yet felt across lifetimes. You breathe slowly, letting the rhythm of the pond seep into you, calming the rush of thought, connecting you to the steady heartbeat of life itself. You pause beside a tree whose leaves shimmer with a translucent glow. Each leaf is a mosaic of genes expressed in light, a living map of potential. You trace the patterns with your gaze, noting where variations have crept in, the gentle deviations that make each leaf unique. They are like fingerprints of the garden, records of subtle experiments played out over countless cycles of growth and change. You realize that variation is not disruption but expression, a necessary brushstroke in the painting of life. You feel a quiet reverence for this process, for the patient, iterative beauty that unfolds without haste or expectation. As the sun lowers in your inner sky, the garden begins to shift in tone. Shadows lengthen, casting dappled patterns across moss and soil. You notice how light interacts with the living structures, revealing hidden dimensions, illuminating connections that were previously invisible. You sense that understanding comes not from forcing clarity but from waiting, from observing with calm attentiveness. Just as a gardener learns the habits of each plant, you learn the rhythms of your inner garden, noticing how one change nudges another, how a mutation in one corner can bloom into a shift in the entire ecosystem. The air grows warmer, carrying a subtle hum that resonates deep within you. You realize this is the pulse of continuity, the thread that links past, present, and future. It is a reminder that life's changes are never isolated. Each choice, each experiment, each mutation contributes to the unfolding story. You feel the gentle responsibility of awareness, the intimate knowledge that even quiet observation shapes understanding, that every insight gained is itself a ripple in the broader pond of existence. Finally, you come to a clearing where the garden opens into a vast horizon, the edges of your vision blending into something larger, something unending. You feel the balance of control and surrender, the interplay of careful attention and patient observation. You see that the garden within is not merely a space of scientific exploration, but a mirror of your own presence, a reminder that curiosity, care, and wonder are the guiding forces of growth. You step back, letting the image settle in your mind. The flowers, the seeds, the ripples in the water, the glow of the leaves, all of it remains, quietly alive, inviting you to return. You feel the lingering question of the next chapter, the one that will take you further into the interplay between intention and chance, between observation and transformation, leaving you with a sense of awe at the subtle power of life itself. You begin by imagining the long river of life, stretching back through time, meandering across eons of silent evolution. Each drop of water in this river carries a story, an intimate memory encoded in the strands of DNA that wind like gentle threads through every living being. You sense the weight of centuries, the quiet persistence of life's patterns, and yet there is no hurry here, only a calm, unfolding rhythm, like the slow breathing of the universe itself. In this river, you see tiny ripples, subtle changes that cascade through generations. These are the mutations, the small alterations in the genetic code that, over millennia, have sculpted the vast diversity of life. Some of these ripples are barely perceptible, a slight variation in the color of fur, a change in the length of a wing, the quiet shift in a leaf shape. And yet, you realize, these tiny, almost invisible changes accumulate, weaving the intricate tapestry of evolution. You watch these ripples drift downstream, each one carrying a hint of possibility, a whisper of what might emerge. You notice how some of these ripples are preserved, passed down through the steady, patient work of inheritance. Traits from your ancestors ripple through your own being. Perhaps it is in the curve of your hand, the rhythm of your heartbeat, or the subtle flicker of instinct that guides your choices. Every characteristic is a trace of those who came before, a gentle reminder that you are part of something far greater, an unbroken line stretching through the soft shadows of time. There is comfort in this continuity, a sense that even as you move through life, you are not alone, you are carried along by the echoes of countless lives, moving quietly with you. Sometimes, you consider the moments when life takes a leap, when a new ripple transforms the river in unexpected ways. Evolution is not always a slow, deliberate process. Occasionally, a mutation arises that changes the course of life dramatically, like a stone dropped into a still pond, sending concentric waves that reshape the surface. You feel awe at these sudden bursts of novelty, at the unpredictability of the river, and yet you also sense that every change, no matter how small, has its place, its reason, its gentle logic. The river is vast, but it is neither chaotic nor careless, it flows with an elegant, silent order. Your thoughts drift to the remarkable machinery of life itself. DNA is more than a code, it is a living manuscript, a delicate set of instructions that unfold with precision and grace. Each base pair, each twist of the double helix, carries information that has survived countless generations. And within this delicate structure lies an inherent creativity, the capacity to generate infinite variations on a theme. You imagine this creativity like the patterns of sunlight on water, shifting and changing with each movement, never exactly the same twice, yet always recognizable as part of the whole. In the stillness of your mind, you consider the role of chance. Mutations are, in part, accidents, small errors, tiny rearrangements, sometimes beneficial, sometimes neutral, sometimes perilous. Yet these accidents are not random in the larger sense. The river of life seems to guide them, smoothing some stones, redirecting some currents, nudging evolution in subtle, astonishing ways. You feel a gentle reverence for this interplay of necessity and possibility, a quiet recognition that life's patterns emerge from both order and serendipity, a dance of countless moments unfolding softly over eons. And now, in the gentle glow of your reflection, you encounter the new tools humanity has discovered, ways to gently intervene in this river, ways to send new ripples deliberately downstream. CRISPR, the sculptor of genes, appears in your thoughts not as a disruptive force, but as an instrument of careful guidance. You imagine it as a painter's brush, capable of adding subtle touches to the ever-unfolding canvas of life. With it, humanity can gently correct a harmful mutation, perhaps prevent a disease from traveling further down the line. And yet, you also sense the profound responsibility that comes with this power. Each intervention is a ripple that extends far beyond its immediate point of origin, touching lives you may never see, altering the river in ways both intended and unforeseen. You think about the future, the currents of possibility that stretch forward like light spilling across water. What traits will endure? Which will fade? Which new ripples will emerge from your own generation, carrying hints of change to the distant reaches of time? There is no certainty, only the flowing rhythm of life and the quiet expectation of what might be. You feel a gentle sense of connection, to your ancestors, to the lives yet unborn, to the myriad creatures that inhabit this river with you. The boundaries of past, present, and future blur in the soft twilight of your imagination, revealing the delicate threads that tie all living things together. As you watch this river in your mind's eye, you notice its reflections. They shimmer with the faces of those who came before, the footprints of evolution etched in each strand of DNA. You see the courage of survival, the tender persistence of life in the face of change, the beauty of forms shaped by countless generations. And you sense the role you play in this ongoing story, not as a master of fate, but as a careful participant, a mindful observer who can add gentle ripples without disturbing the overall flow. There is humility in this perspective, a serene recognition that life is far bigger than any one of us, yet intimate enough that we can touch it in meaningful ways. You linger on this thought, feeling the soft pull of wonder. There is joy in understanding the continuity of life, the awareness that the same principles that guided your ancestors now guide you, and will continue to guide those who follow. Each cell in your body, each molecule of DNA, is a messenger, carrying fragments of history and hints of the future. And within these fragments lies a quiet magic, the possibility of change, the capacity for innovation, the subtle gift of life to reinvent itself gently and endlessly. Sometimes, in the deepest stillness, you can almost hear the river speak. Its voice is not loud or commanding. It is a whisper, a tender reminder of impermanence and persistence, of the dance of chance and necessity. You feel it in the rhythm of your own heartbeat, in the pulse of life that flows through every living being. The river reminds you that even as individual ripples appear and fade, the current continues, carrying stories, traits, mutations, and possibilities onward. You are part of this river, a living note in an ever-expanding symphony of life. You contemplate the idea of choice within this continuity. With new tools like CRISPR, you can influence which ripples persist, which currents are emphasized, and which might be smoothed over. Yet the river itself remains patient, teaching that influence must be tempered with respect, that each intervention is an act of dialogue rather than command. You imagine yourself leaning close to the surface, watching the light refract through the gentle waves, and understanding that guiding the river is not about control but about listening and responding with care. As you drift deeper into this reflection, you sense the elegance of life's architecture. Genes, proteins, cells, and organisms all form an interconnected whole, each layer echoing the patterns of the one before. It is a design that is both simple and profoundly complex, revealing beauty in symmetry, asymmetry, and the delicate interplay between order and variation. You feel gratitude for this insight, a calm awe at the sophistication that exists without haste, without urgency, and yet achieves remarkable resilience and creativity. And in this moment, you realize the river of life is not just a metaphor. It is the reality in which you move, breathe, and dream. You are a participant and a witness, a being capable of reflection, understanding, and gentle intervention. The ripples you send forth, whether through action or thought, join the vast chorus of currents stretching into the unknown future. And as you let your mind drift along these waters, you feel the soft pull of curiosity, the unspoken promise that each ripple, however small, contributes to a story that will continue long after you are gone. The river moves on, carrying your thoughts, your inherited patterns, and the possibilities of change, blending past, present, and future into a single, flowing narrative. You sense the quiet continuity of life, the patience of evolution, and the fragile beauty of intentional ripples sent downstream. And as you linger on the surface, watching the interplay of light and water, you feel the gentle anticipation of the next chapter, wondering which new currents you will encounter as the river unfolds. You close your eyes and imagine the delicate orchestra of your body at work. Every heartbeat, every breath, every pulse of energy carries a rhythm older than memory. Within this quiet symphony, tiny cells perform their endless duties. They carry messages, repair fractures, and sometimes falter. When they stumble, disease creeps in, subtle and patient. Yet here, in the soft corridors of thought, you realize that science is learning to guide them back, not with force, but with gentle suggestion. Picture a cell, fragile but steadfast, drifting through the liquid landscape of life. Its membrane glows faintly, as if lit from the inside by an ancient luminescence. Outside, molecules swirl in quiet dance, nutrients, messengers, the building blocks of being. When a disease enters, it is like a shadow stretching across this luminous field. But then, imagine a whisper, a tiny encouragement carried by a molecule designed to speak the cell's language. Slowly, the shadow retreats. The cell remembers its original rhythm. This is the promise of new therapies, not magic, not intrusion, but a subtle conversation that restores balance. In your mind, you follow the journey of a single therapy. Perhaps it is a strand of RNA, delicate and precise. It moves like a paper boat on a calm stream, reaching its destination with a purpose known only to the cell. Once it arrives, it nudges the cell's machinery to correct an error, to repair a broken signal, to remember what it once knew naturally. Imagine this strand as a tiny teacher, patient and kind, guiding a student who has forgotten its lessons. The cell listens, and slowly, quietly, it learns again. Now, expand your vision to the broader landscape. Tissues, organs, entire systems respond as if they are waking from a long, disrupted sleep. You feel the warmth of healing spreading like sunlight across a foggy morning. Each therapy, each discovery, is a drop of understanding in this vast, intricate ocean. Scientists, like gentle navigators, map currents and eddies, learning how to steer cells back to health without disturbing the ecosystem of life around them. This is not a battle, it is a collaboration, a conversation in which the smallest components of life are invited to remember their strength. Imagine the ways the body repairs itself naturally, the immune system patrolling silently, recognizing intruders and mistakes, the liver filtering, the kidneys balancing, the brain orchestrating signals like a quiet conductor. When medicine intervenes, it does so by harmonizing with this inherent wisdom. You see tiny medicines as dancers on a stage, moving carefully so as not to trip the performers who already know their roles. And yet, These dances bring new steps, subtle adjustments that shift the entire performance toward health and wholeness. Think of the fragile resilience of life, how a single stem cell can become 1,000, how tissues can regenerate if only given the right environment. This is the frontier of healing, coaxing potential where it lies dormant, awakening it with understanding rather than force. Each discovery in this realm feels like opening a small window to a hidden garden, where every leaf and petal represents a tiny victory against the disorders that shadow human life. Visualize a therapy designed to target a disease like cancer. It moves invisibly, seeking out only what needs correction, sparing the healthy cells that work tirelessly to maintain balance. It is precision guided not by sheer power, but by the intelligence encoded in life itself. You imagine it as a gentle sculptor, shaping the environment so that the cells themselves choose health. And as you watch this unfolding, a sense of calm certainty rises. Here is a universe inside you, vast and full of possibility, responding to whispers of care. Healing is not instantaneous, it moves in rhythms, in waves that match the cycles of life itself. Some days are quieter, subtle corrections weaving through tissues. Other days bring noticeable change, a feeling of restored energy, of systems harmonizing. You feel the patience required, the understanding that the body cannot be rushed, that resilience is built slowly, intentionally. In this quiet observation, you sense that science and life are partners in an endless dance, each step measured, each gesture meaningful. Consider therapies that are still only dreams, still whispers in research laboratories. Imagine tiny robots, invisible to the eye, navigating your bloodstream to deliver assistance exactly where it is needed. Picture molecules designed to speak the language of cells, correcting miscommunications, restoring harmony. Each idea is a story, a narrative of hope told to the microscopic actors who are listening, who can change the course of life in response. The imagination of scientists becomes a bridge between what is known and what could be, a bridge over the shadow of disease. You begin to understand that every cell, every therapy, every intervention is a story in itself. It is a tale of resilience, of memory, of potential awakened. And as you drift further, you notice how this story mirrors your own life, moments of imbalance, times of struggle, and the quiet, persistent return to rhythm. The science of healing is not distant or cold, it is intimately familiar, reflecting the very patterns of hope and recovery that you carry within. Now, let your thoughts wander to the future of medicine. Imagine a world where diseases are no longer feared but understood, where interventions are gentle, precise, and profoundly respectful of life's intelligence. Picture the joy of a body moving freely, cells performing their duties without obstruction, systems operating in synchrony. You sense the elegance of it all, healing not as conquest, but as listening, guiding, and encouraging the natural wisdom that resides in every tissue, every molecule. Even in the most delicate moments of illness, there is beauty in possibility. A cell damaged today may be thriving tomorrow, aided by knowledge whispered through therapies. Your imagination fills with visions of repair and renewal, quiet yet powerful, like stars emerging in a night sky. The invisible becomes tangible, and the unseen choreography of life reveals itself in the gentlest of lights, reminding you that hope is an intrinsic part of existence itself. You feel a subtle shift. The landscape of healing is not about eradicating imperfections but about inviting life to remember its inherent strength. Every therapy is an invitation, a soft suggestion that balance is possible. You sense the promise held within each microscopic interaction, a quiet optimism carried through the tiniest of vessels, flowing gently into the larger body. And as you rest in this awareness, your mind drifts along with the idea that the future of health is not about dominance, but about harmony, understanding, and care. The rhythm of your own breathing mirrors the cadence of this internal healing. Each inhale brings awareness to the resilient structures within, each exhale releases tension and doubt. You imagine life itself as a delicate, ever-evolving conversation, a narrative where each cell, each therapy, each discovery contributes a note to an ongoing melody of restoration. And in this melody, there is space for pause, reflection, and trust. Softly, you sense the boundary between science and wonder blurring. The mechanics of cells, molecules, and therapies feel like poetry in motion, precise yet gentle, complex yet comprehensible. You recognize that healing, like the universe itself, moves in rhythms that are both measurable and ineffably beautiful. There is a story here that is both personal and universal, a story that encourages patience, hope, and quiet curiosity. And as you begin to drift toward the next layer of understanding, you hold a single, profound image in your mind, cells listening, responding, remembering. Tiny gestures of care, amplified into resilience. Life restored gently, imperceptibly, perfectly in tune with its own wisdom. You close your eyes and imagine a pond at dawn, its surface smooth like glass, reflecting the pale blush of morning light. The world seems quiet, but you know that beneath the stillness, life teems in tiny motions. One small action, a stone dropped, a leaf brushing the water, sends ripples across the surface. Each ripple carries a subtle change, spreading farther than the eye can follow. This is how it feels to peer into the code of life itself, where even the smallest edits send consequences flowing in unexpected directions. Science, in its quiet, deliberate way, teaches you to notice these ripples. Genes, the invisible instructions tucked into the threads of your being, hold immense potential. They shape who you are, how you heal, even how you perceive the world around you. And yet, altering them is not like flipping a switch. It is more like placing a pebble in that still pond. The stone is small, yet the ripples may reach the shore in patterns you cannot predict. You sense both wonder and caution in this delicate balance. Imagine a butterfly, its wings shimmering in a sunbeam. It lands on the pond's edge, disturbing the reflection of the sky just enough to catch your eye. That tiny movement mirrors the hidden dance within cells when science intervenes. A single change, a tweak to a genetic sequence, a new molecule introduced, can subtly shift the path of life. The effects are often invisible at first, gentle whispers of transformation. But over time, those whispers accumulate, guiding the shape of growth, health, and even the emergence of new traits. You feel a quiet curiosity rising, not like a push or pull, but a soft invitation to explore. You wonder, what if we could tune life like music, adjusting the notes to create a healthier, more vibrant harmony? Yet, the mind remembers the ripples. With every note we alter, there is a resonance that travels farther than we anticipate. Like tossing a pebble into the pond, a single intervention may return in echoes unforeseen, subtle but undeniable. The pond teaches patience, humility, and respect for the hidden currents beneath a calm surface. In laboratories, scientists work with microscopes and sequencers, instruments that reveal worlds unseen. They watch cells divide, proteins fold, and DNA stretch like a delicate spiral staircase. Each experiment is a careful step into the unknown, guided by hypotheses and data, yet always aware that certainty is a horizon, never fully reached. You imagine standing there beside them, feeling the quiet thrill of discovery mixed with the hum of restraint. There is magic in this tension, the interplay of potential and prudence. Life, in its richness, resists simple manipulation. A gene that seems to govern one trait often whispers secrets to many others. Like hidden pathways in a forest, altering one trail may subtly redirect the flow of water, sunlight, and the growth of surrounding trees. In the same way, the code of life is interconnected. Editing it invites questions that unfold endlessly, each answer revealing a deeper layer of complexity. You sit with this gentle tension, letting it seep into your understanding without fear or rush. You think of the pioneers who first glimpsed the power to rewrite life's instructions. Their hearts must have pulsed with awe and humility, knowing that each choice was more than a scientific step, it was a dialogue with existence itself. You imagine their hands hovering over microscopes, careful yet daring, aware that even the smallest ripple might carry far-reaching consequences. Theirs was a path illuminated by curiosity, guided by a respect for the subtle symphony of life. The pond reflects the sky again, now touched with the soft gold of early sun. You see your own reflection and recognize the part you play in observing, learning, and imagining. Your mind, like water, can hold clarity and depth at once. You sense that knowledge itself is not a destination but a ripple, an ongoing conversation with the living world. Each insight leads to new questions, each discovery to a new horizon. In this gentle unfolding, you find comfort, as if the pond itself were reassuring you that exploration and respect can coexist. Consider, for a moment, the creatures hidden in that water, tiny organisms that thrive in ways you cannot fully perceive. They respond to light, temperature, and chemical signals, each one a testament to the delicate balance of life. When humans step into this balance, the interventions must be thoughtful. Like the gardener tending a rare plant, every choice matters, not only for immediate growth but for the long arc of life's unfolding. Patience becomes your guide, observation your companion, and humility your constant reminder. The mind drifts to possibilities. Could we mend broken patterns in life? Could we erase diseases that have shadowed humanity for centuries? Could we nudge evolution toward harmony rather than destruction? These questions do not demand answers, yet they ripple through your imagination like the movement of water around a stone. The key is the awareness that every action, no matter how precise, participates in a larger flow. The pond does not resist your curiosity, but it asks that you move gently, mindfully, with both courage and care. As the day brightens, the ripples on the pond fade into a calm shimmer, leaving the surface almost as if untouched. Yet you know the story of the pebble is not erased. The pond remembers, quietly, in ways invisible to the eye. In life's code, changes are like that, subtle, often hidden, yet profoundly significant. You recognize that curiosity and caution are not opposites but partners in the quiet art of discovery. Each moment of understanding is a ripple that flows into the next question, the next exploration, the next gentle act of learning. You breathe in this realization that science, at its heart, is a meditation on possibility. It asks you to wonder deeply, observe carefully, and move thoughtfully. The ripples of action, though invisible at first, carry the wisdom of restraint and imagination. You sense the continuity of all things, the unseen connections that stretch across time and space. And in this awareness, the uncertainty you felt transforms into a soft, luminous presence, an invitation to dwell in curiosity without haste. The sun tilts higher, casting golden arcs across the pond's surface. You notice a heron, distant and deliberate, stepping lightly along the water's edge. Each careful movement echoes the mindfulness that science requires, a harmony of intention and observation. In this moment, you feel the intertwined pulse of life, knowledge, and responsibility. You are both observer and participant, your thoughts a gentle influence, your wonder a guiding light. The pond, the gene, the ripple, they are all reminders that life's story is written in patterns both seen and unseen, in waves that stretch beyond the immediate horizon. And as you let this understanding settle, a quiet question floats at the edge of your mind, soft as mist. If each ripple carries hidden echoes, what will the next gentle stone reveal? You stand at the entrance of a quiet labyrinth, its walls stretching gently upward, made not of stone but of possibility. The paths twist softly, folding over one another like waves, and each intersection hums with the subtle vibration of choice. In your hand rests a lantern, small but steady, its glow warm and inviting. This light is more than illumination, it is a companion, a symbol of your responsibility, a reflection of the care you carry for the world around you. You notice that even the tiniest flicker changes how the shadows fall, how the twists and turns of the path appear before you. As you step forward, the lantern dances with each motion, revealing textures that were hidden, layers of the labyrinth that speak quietly of consequence. The floor beneath your feet is soft, absorbing your footsteps, reminding you that the world responds gently when approached with attentiveness. You inhale slowly, feeling the weight of your presence, the subtle impact that radiates outward with every movement, every decision. Even before you choose a path, the act of noticing, of being present, begins to ripple outward, touching corners of possibility that remain unseen. The labyrinth is not a test, nor a trap, it is a space for reflection. Some paths shimmer with familiar light, their curves worn by countless travelers. Others lie in shadow, delicate tendrils of uncertainty stretching ahead. You feel the pull of curiosity, the desire to explore where the light does not yet reach. There is a gentle tension here, a balance between caution and wonder. Each step you take asks you to consider more than the immediate path, it invites you to feel the subtle weight of choice, the invisible thread that connects action to consequence. With the lantern in hand, you begin to see ethics not as a rigid code but as a living, breathing guide. The glow transforms, shifting according to the intentions you hold. When your heart opens toward compassion, the light softens, spreading wider, touching the edges of the labyrinth with warmth. When you pause to understand before acting, the lantern deepens, revealing hidden paths and possibilities. Every decision becomes a gentle dialogue between curiosity and care, a conversation between who you are and who the world might become through your presence. You pause at a fork where two paths diverge. One glimmers softly, familiar and comforting, a path many have walked before. The other is dim, uncertain, veiled in delicate shadows. You consider both. There is no rush here, only awareness. The light in your hand is steady, a quiet assurance that you carry the capacity to illuminate the path ahead, even when the way is unclear. You sense that each choice will leave a mark, subtle yet persistent, like a ripple across still water. As you walk, you notice small signs of life along the path. Tiny blooms of understanding peek through the cracks in the labyrinth, fragile as thoughts forming into clarity. You see the faint trace of another traveler's lantern, paused for reflection, leaving a delicate imprint of care in their wake. It reminds you that responsibility is never solitary. Your choices intersect with countless others, creating an intricate dance of intention and action. You feel the soft pull of humility and gratitude, recognizing that each step is both yours and shared. The lantern casts gentle reflections on the walls, revealing inscriptions of possibility, words like patience, curiosity, empathy. They are not commandments but invitations. You read them slowly, letting their meaning sink into your awareness. Patience whispers that some answers emerge only with time, that the labyrinth itself will reveal its secrets if you move with attentiveness. Curiosity encourages exploration, a playful openness to the unknown, the acknowledgement that not all consequences are immediately visible. Empathy reminds you to consider others, to feel the resonance of your choices within the wider web of life. At times, the path narrows, forcing you to slow your pace. Here, the labyrinth teaches subtlety, that responsibility is not measured by grand gestures alone but by the accumulation of small, thoughtful steps. Each moment of awareness, each gentle decision, layers upon the next, creating a pattern of care that may be invisible now but endures quietly. You realize that your lantern does not demand perfection. It asks only for presence, for the mindful tending of possibility. The weight of responsibility becomes lighter when held with intention and heart. You come to a small clearing where the air is still, carrying the faint scent of distant rain and earth. Here, the labyrinth feels infinite yet intimate, a reflection of your own inner landscape. You set the lantern down briefly, watching the glow expand softly around you, illuminating the contours of your surroundings. This pause is not hesitation but reverence. You see that even in stillness, choices continue to unfold. The light, your attention, your intention, they reach outward like the soft pulse of a heartbeat, touching spaces you cannot see but can sense. As you continue along the path, you notice shadows that shift differently depending on how you hold the lantern. Sometimes, a shadow recedes as understanding deepens. Other times, it grows, inviting reflection and humility. You sense that responsibility is not about erasing uncertainty but navigating it with care. Each decision is both a question and an answer, a delicate negotiation between what is and what might be. You walk with quiet confidence, not certainty, guided by the light you carry and the awareness that the labyrinth is alive with possibility. Along the way, small gestures of mindfulness reveal their hidden power. You see a single leaf caught in the wind, spinning slowly, and recognize it as a metaphor for choice, delicate, seemingly insignificant, yet capable of influencing the surrounding currents. A soft murmur of water follows a hidden channel, reminding you that actions ripple far beyond what is immediately visible. You begin to understand that responsibility is less a burden and more a form of artistry, shaping the world with gentle, intentional strokes, harmonizing curiosity with care. Time moves differently here, it stretches and folds like the labyrinth itself. You notice your breathing, steady and deep, syncing with the rhythm of your steps. With each inhalation, you draw in clarity. With each exhalation, you release doubt. The lantern's glow sways with you, echoing the subtle dance of attention and choice. You feel the profound interplay between observation and action, the tenderness required to move through life with awareness. The labyrinth becomes not a challenge to conquer but a companion in discovery, a mirror for the quiet cultivation of mindful responsibility. The path bends again, leading toward a horizon that shimmers softly in the distance. You understand that the journey is ongoing. There is no final destination, only continuous exploration. The lantern in your hand illuminates not only the path but the spaces between paths, the subtle intersections where intention and consequence meet. You sense the future unfolding gently, each decision a small, luminous thread woven into the fabric of possibility. You feel a quiet resolve to move forward with care, curiosity, and compassion. Every choice carries weight, yet you learn to walk lightly, aware of the shadows and attuned to the glow. The labyrinth teaches that ethics is not a rigid compass but a living lantern, responsive to your heart, expanding when kindness guides you, softening when curiosity leads. The journey is both inward and outward, a meditation on presence, consequence, and the tender artistry of mindful living. You carry the light with reverence, knowing that even the smallest gesture can ripple across the labyrinth of life, shaping the world in ways seen and unseen. The lantern's warmth lingers as you step toward the next turn, a gentle reminder that responsibility is both delicate and profound. In the quiet, you feel the soft pulse of possibility, a rhythmic invitation to continue with care. The labyrinth stretches onward, its paths shimmering with questions and quiet truths, waiting for the next mindful step. You close your eyes and let the present dissolve, leaving only the gentle hum of thought, like a river flowing through a quiet valley. In this river, you see reflections of what could be, the dream of tomorrow unfolding in soft, luminous patterns. Imagine a child's laughter echoing across a field, free from the shadows of illness, a sound untouched by fear. Your mind holds this moment like a delicate crystal, turning it slowly in your hand, revealing facets you had not noticed before, the way sunlight bends across hair, how a smile carries warmth without a single word. Science whispers here, a quiet companion, showing how understanding the smallest cells, the tiniest strands of DNA, could shape life in ways once considered impossible. You walk along paths lined with ideas, each one a seed of what might come. Gene therapies ripple outward like waves in a pond, promising the soft eradication of diseases that have lingered for centuries. You feel the weight of their potential, the gentle responsibility inherent in guiding such power. Medicine itself becomes an art, a meditation in precision and care, a slow dance of molecules and intention. And yet, you sense the uncertainty, the complexity of every choice, that each step forward in this garden of possibility carries with it questions we cannot yet answer. What will it mean for a life extended beyond what is common? How will humanity respond to seeing mortality softened, stretched into decades unimagined? These are not questions to be feared but to be pondered like stars on a clear night, points of light in a vast, contemplative sky. The visions expand, layering like watercolor washes. You see cities breathing with new energy, where technology flows in rhythm with nature. Parks hum with quiet joy, where learning is curiosity unbound by age, and laughter is the soundtrack to afternoons spent in discovery. Robots and artificial intelligence move seamlessly, assisting but never replacing the tender human touch. In hospitals and homes alike, you see the blend of heart and science, a gentle intertwining of knowledge and care. Every innovation holds a reflection of human imagination, a mirror to our desire to see suffering softened, potential maximized, and the richness of life preserved. As you drift deeper into this future, your mind turns to the very act of dreaming. You notice how ideas themselves evolve, like living organisms, shifting and adapting to the environment of collective thought. Science and imagination are not separate here, they dance together, each step informing the other. You feel yourself a participant in this waltz, not as a distant observer, but as someone who can imagine and influence. The whisper of possibility becomes a soft song. What might it mean to cure a disease once thought inevitable? To see a child born healthy in a world previously shadowed by uncertainty? To extend life not as a burden but as a canvas for discovery, laughter, and love? Each thought unfolds slowly, deliberately, like petals opening under the gentle pressure of sunlight. You notice the fragility of these visions. For every shimmering possibility, there exists a shadow of caution. Ethics emerge as soft, guiding hands, reminders that power without care can unravel dreams instead of nurturing them. You consider the weight of choice, how humanity must balance curiosity with humility, knowledge with wisdom. In this gentle reflection, you feel the pulse of our shared responsibility, to imagine not only what we can do, but what we should do. This is not a burden, it is a quiet invitation to participate in the unfolding story of life, to move with awareness, and to honor both the potential and the delicate uncertainty that frames it. In one vision, children play beneath trees whose leaves glisten with engineered resilience, trees designed to survive changing climates, yet still beautiful, still alive with wind songs. You realize the future may hold not only survival but a flourishing of beauty and possibility, a synthesis of human ingenuity and natural wonder. The landscapes of tomorrow are painted not only with technological brushstrokes but with the hues of imagination, laughter, and care. And as you watch, you feel the gentle thrill of hope, not the blinding light of certainty, but the quiet, steady glow of what could be. Time stretches here, elastic and meditative. You sense generations extending like threads, weaving continuity between past, present, and future. Lives lengthened by science are lived with intention, rich in understanding, empathy, and exploration. You see the subtle interconnection of all things, each choice in medicine, education, environment, and art resonates like a soft chord through the human symphony. And yet, the vision is never complete, for the nature of possibility is infinite, and your journey through these reflections is part of its unfolding. You feel the dance of uncertainty again, a soft reminder that no vision arrives fully formed. The future you imagine is a river that bends and splits, each branch carrying potential both wondrous and complex. You drift along one channel, where diseases fade like morning fog, and another opens where unforeseen challenges await, subtle in their emergence. You allow yourself to rest in this ambiguity, to sit in the quiet space between what is known and what is possible, sensing the slow pulse of progress and curiosity. Here, imagination is not frivolous but a profound act of exploration, guiding science toward horizons yet unseen. Your thoughts turn to the human heart, the gentle compass that navigates these possibilities. Even as technology advances, you see that empathy, compassion, and connection remain central to life's unfolding story. You imagine future caregivers, researchers, teachers, and explorers who move with awareness of this truth, whose hands and minds act in concert to nurture the beauty and complexity of existence. You feel the soft weight of responsibility, a whisper, not a command, reminding you that every vision, every innovation, begins with intention, care, and the patient unfolding of knowledge into life. And then, quietly, you notice the layering of your own imagination upon these visions. The future you see is not distant and impersonal, it is intertwined with your thoughts, your hope, your gentle curiosity. Each possibility becomes a soft reflection of what it means to be human, to question, to care, to dream, and to create. You linger here, between awe and contemplation, watching how potential unfurls like slow-moving clouds, each one carrying a hint of sunlight, shadow, and the promise of discovery. Softly, you sense that your journey through the possibilities of tomorrow is not complete. There is more to learn, more to imagine, and more to feel, a gentle pull toward understanding how these dreams may touch the lives of many, including your own. And in this reflective pause, you feel the subtle transition from wonder to insight, as if the next thought will carry you further, deeper, into the exploration of life's unfolding tapestry. You linger a moment longer on the laughter of children, the quiet hum of possibility, the gentle intertwining of science and imagination. And then, with a soft exhale, you sense the next horizon, a question forming at the edge of thought, beckoning you forward. The future waits, not as certainty, but as a canvas, soft and open, ready to receive the brushstrokes of discovery yet to come. You begin with a single choice. Perhaps it is a flicker of curiosity, a question that lingers softly in your mind. What happens if I nudge this element here, shift this one detail there? At first, it seems inconsequential, almost invisible. A leaf falling in a quiet forest. Yet, as you watch, you begin to notice the faint stirrings in the air, the subtle way one ripple spreads to the next. It is the beginning of understanding the profound weight of small actions. Each experiment you undertake is both precise and exploratory. You observe with gentle attention, recording patterns that might otherwise slip unnoticed. In a petri dish, a single cell divides and mutates, creating a tiny microcosm of possibility. You see it as more than science, you see it as a dialogue between your intention and nature's own whimsy. There is a beauty in that duality, in knowing that even your careful design meets randomness and serendipity along its path. You notice the symmetry in small changes. A shift in temperature, a slight alteration in timing, a whisper of a molecule's interaction. Each becomes a sentence in a story that the universe is writing in quiet complexity. The subtle echoes of your actions are like soft footsteps across a pond's surface, sending concentric waves outward. You cannot always see where they land, but the water itself remembers, carrying the trace of your touch far beyond the moment of your decision. In this chapter of exploration, you are reminded of the interconnectedness of life itself. One small tweak in a gene might alter a protein, subtly influencing an entire organism. One gentle observation in a lab notebook might inspire another, who then builds upon your discovery in ways you could never predict. The narrative of life is written in countless small acts, each entwined with countless others, forming a web that is both fragile and resilient. As you move through these experiments, you learn patience. The world does not hurry, and the molecules do not rush. You cultivate a quiet attentiveness, a mindful awareness of the slow unfolding of cause and effect. Each measurement, each careful annotation, is a meditation, a way to immerse yourself fully in the flow of inquiry without the distraction of haste. You begin to understand that observation itself is an act of creation. The very act of noticing alters the world, even if only imperceptibly. Consider the role of intention. You do not manipulate for control alone, you guide with curiosity and respect. Every intervention carries a choice, to observe, to alter, to let the process continue without interference. You sense the responsibility embedded in every small decision, the way it might ripple outward into the lives of countless unseen creatures. There is humility in this awareness, a recognition that you are both participant and witness in a story far larger than your individual understanding. Yet, even with care, the world surprises you. A mutation appears that you did not predict. A chemical reaction takes an unexpected turn. You realize that even the smallest act of creation exists within a larger system of chance and pattern. These moments of surprise are not failures, they are invitations to explore more deeply, to listen more closely to the subtle language of nature. In embracing the unexpected, you discover a rhythm that is both gentle and exhilarating, the dance between intention and happenstance. You begin to see parallels in your own life. Every choice you make, no matter how small, echoes beyond the immediate moment. A kind word, a careful decision, a moment of quiet reflection. These are the ripples that shape your relationships, your experiences, your own inner evolution. Just as in the laboratory, your actions meet the unpredictability of the world, creating patterns that are sometimes visible only much later. The awareness of this interconnectedness instills a sense of wonder, a soft awe at the invisible threads linking everything together. In your observations, you also encounter patterns of repetition. Certain outcomes recur, hinting at underlying principles that guide the unfolding of events. These patterns are rarely rigid, they fluctuate with the context of their environment, responding to minute changes and subtle influences. It is a reminder that even in the structured world of science, the universe retains a playful freedom, an improvisational quality that invites you to remain humble and attentive. You learn to appreciate the quietness of small things. The slow folding of a protein, the gentle drift of a pollen grain, the faint chemical shifts within a single cell, all hold lessons if you take the time to see them. In this practice, you cultivate patience, curiosity, and a soft reverence for life's complexity. Each observation becomes a meditation, a chance to witness the subtle interplay of forces that sustain the world around you. In moments of reflection, you realize that your work is a conversation across scales of time and space. A choice you make in a single moment might echo across generations, in ways both subtle and profound. Each edit to a sequence, each adjustment in procedure, carries both the weight of intent and the possibility of serendipity. You hold this knowledge lightly, knowing that the universe always retains its own voice, even as you contribute your own. Your attention drifts to the elegance of balance. Systems seek equilibrium, yet they thrive on small perturbations. Life is sustained not by stasis but by the gentle tension between change and stability. This understanding influences the way you approach experiments, decisions, and even the quiet moments of your day. You recognize that gentle influence, when combined with careful observation, can guide outcomes in ways that feel natural, harmonious, and deeply satisfying. As you observe the tiny ripples of your actions, you notice a growing intimacy with the world. You begin to sense the interdependence of all things, the cellular whispers that support life, the unseen chemical conversations, the subtle dance of molecules that sustain ecosystems. Your role is neither dominant nor passive, it is participatory, a soft weaving into the ongoing story of life. You are both observer and contributor, shaping outcomes in ways that are gentle, deliberate, and profoundly connected. In the quiet of these reflections, you understand that mastery is not about control, but about attentiveness. It is about seeing the subtle, listening to the soft, and respecting the balance between your choices and the universe's unfolding. Each experiment, each decision, is a lesson in humility, curiosity, and the quiet power of small acts. You begin to notice that your own awareness deepens, your mind attuned to the gentle rhythms that govern both nature and life itself. Finally, you sit with the thought that every small act, even one that seems inconsequential, carries potential. Your presence, your observation, your interventions are threads in a tapestry far larger than yourself. Like a pebble dropped into a still pond, the ripples move outward in ways both visible and hidden. You feel a soft, resonant connection to the continuity of life, a sense of belonging within the intricate web of interactions that stretch through time, space, and generations. And as the chapter draws to a close, you hold this thought softly, that even the quietest actions carry meaning, and that the next gentle choice might reveal the first whisper of a new discovery. You feel the quiet rhythm of your body, the subtle rise and fall of your chest with each breath. The world outside your mind softens, leaving only the gentle awareness of being, of existence in this small, extraordinary moment. Somewhere, in the hidden folds of life, there is a story being told with letters and sequences, a story written in the language of DNA. It is there that CRISPR moves silently, like a careful gardener tending to a delicate bloom, shaping life with precision and intention. Imagine a tiny pair of molecular scissors, so small that 1,000,000 could fit on the tip of a pencil. These scissors do not rush, they glide along the long, twisting ladder of DNA, finding the exact spot where change is needed. There is elegance in this search, an almost meditative patience, as if the molecule itself is aware of the weight of its responsibility. Each cut, each alteration, is deliberate, a whisper of possibility against the vast backdrop of life's code. As you observe this gentle science, notice how it mirrors the human act of care. Think of a mother tracing her child's hairline, a hand brushing softly across a sleeping forehead. CRISPR, too, reaches into the intimate architecture of cells, making minute adjustments that can ripple outward, touching generations in ways both seen and unseen. The molecules follow their own rhythm, a quiet choreography that unfolds beyond the perception of time, yet it is grounded in the unwavering laws of chemistry and biology. You might wonder how such a tool came to be. It began as a discovery, a whisper from nature itself. Bacteria, those ancient, microscopic architects, carry their own versions of CRISPR, a memory of past encounters with viruses. They keep these records like soft, invisible journals, and when the threat returns, they read them with uncanny precision, neutralizing danger with an elegance that feels almost like consciousness. Human minds, curious and attentive, learn to interpret this natural system. Scientists shaped it, guided it, and gave it form in our laboratories. It became a bridge, a gentle hand that can touch life's code with intention. Think now of the landscapes inside a cell. The nucleus is a quiet city, where threads of DNA coil and unwind like streets bathed in soft, diffused light. CRISPR travels these streets with care, seeking the exact location to intervene. It does not harm what is already beautiful, it simply adjusts, edits, sometimes repairs. There is poetry here, the notion that life is not a rigid script but a living manuscript, one that can be revised with reverence and respect. You sense the intimacy of this work, a closeness that mirrors your own reflection on the patterns and paths of your life. Let your mind wander to a single DNA sequence, a line of letters that seems impossibly small yet contains the blueprint for life. A few characters altered by CRISPR can change the fate of a cell, a tissue, a future organism. The power is immense, but it is framed in gentleness, in the slow unfolding of deliberate knowledge. You can imagine a future where diseases are corrected, where fragile ecosystems are preserved, where the whispers of genetic memory are acknowledged and honored. Each intervention is a careful meditation on possibility and responsibility. As you breathe, notice how this science is also a mirror for the human heart. We all carry codes within ourselves, memories, habits, choices, and each decision shapes the unfolding story. CRISPR reminds us that change is not always sudden or violent. It can be precise, thoughtful, and transformative in the quietest ways. There is a patience in both life and science, a rhythm that demands respect for process and timing. You feel a gentle kinship with the molecular world, a sense that you, too, are part of this intricate, unfolding design. Picture a leaf, tender and green, reaching toward sunlight. Its veins trace a pattern as old as life itself, yet unique in every subtle curve. CRISPR operates with a similar reverence for detail. Each sequence it edits, each cut it makes, respects the integrity of the organism while offering possibility. There is no rush, no chaos, only a careful, mindful attention to the structures that sustain life. You feel as slow or as this microscopic story unfolds, an intimacy that is both scientific and profoundly human. The act of watching this invisible work is itself a meditation. You feel the steady pulse of your own existence, the slow beating of your heart, the tiny shivers of your nerves, the warmth that moves quietly beneath your skin. CRISPR's quiet edits reflect back to you the quiet moments in your own life where care and attention create meaningful change. The mind, like the molecule, can navigate complexity with gentleness. Each thought, each gesture, can ripple outward in ways you may not immediately see but that resonate in the fabric of your surroundings. Let your imagination wander further, into a cell where a single CRISPR complex arrives at its target. The DNA uncoils in a slow, deliberate dance, exposing the precise sequence that will be altered. The molecular scissors engage, a soft snip echoing through the unseen corridors of life. Enzymes gather around, repairing, adjusting, guiding. It is a choreography of immense subtlety, a dance that respects the structure and rhythm of existence. You sense the humility required to intervene so delicately, the awareness that power is only meaningful when tempered by care. Consider how this story touches not just biology, but philosophy. If the tiniest edits in life's code can lead to new possibilities, what does this suggest about the choices you make, the intentions you carry? There is a quiet lesson here, that even in small actions, when performed with awareness and love, transformation is possible. CRISPR reminds us that the world is not static, that creation and adjustment happen continuously, often invisibly, like a soft wind shaping the sand. As your awareness drifts through these reflections, feel yourself returning gently to your own body. The vastness of the molecular world folds into the warmth of your hands, the softness of your breathing, the rhythm of your pulse. The marvel of CRISPR is not just in its technical achievement but in its intimate poetry, the reminder that the universe, in all its complexity, can be approached with curiosity, gentleness, and care. The ore is not distant, it is here, in the quiet connection between life's smallest components and your own consciousness. In this contemplative space, you notice how questions arise naturally. How will we use such power responsibly? How do we honor life while exploring its possibilities? These questions are not urgent or troubling, they are invitations to stay present, to remain attentive, to move slowly through the unfolding narrative of existence. The journey through CRISPR is, in essence, a journey through reflection itself, an exploration of how careful observation, delicate intervention, and mindful curiosity can transform the way we understand both the world and ourselves. You allow yourself to linger in this quiet, feeling the soft edges of understanding, the gentle tension between knowledge and mystery. You imagine the molecules continuing their dance long after you stop observing, the slow and precise movements of life unfolding unnoticed, yet full of purpose. And in this awareness, you sense the bridge between science and meditation, between curiosity and compassion, a bridge you can walk with quiet reverence. The last thought drifts like a feather. Just as CRISPR reaches into the depths of life's code with gentle intent, so too can you approach your own inner world, observing, adjusting, and tending with care. The story does not end here, for the next question lingers softly on the horizon, inviting you to explore not just what life is, but how it can be nurtured, transformed, and cherished. You find yourself sitting at the edge of something vast and unseen, where the very building blocks of life seem to shimmer beneath a quiet light. There is no rush here, no urgency. Instead, you breathe slowly, feeling the gentle rhythm of your own heart, each beat a subtle echo of the pulse that flows through every living thing. In this stillness, the question arises, what does it mean to shape the code of life? You imagine it as a river of light, flowing through the hidden channels of every cell. Each strand carries instructions, delicate instructions, written in the language of possibility. A twist here, a fold there, and suddenly, something emerges, tiny, vibrant, trembling with life. You picture DNA not just as a molecule, but as a quiet storybook, written in letters too small for the eye to hold, yet vast enough to contain the complexity of every creature that has ever walked, swum, flown, or dreamed. As you watch, the river seems to ripple under your gaze. You think of the proteins, those tireless builders, folding into shapes so precise that a single misstep could ripple into chaos. And yet, even in their precision, there is grace, an elegance that makes you breathe slower, makes you feel the beauty of patterns unfolding naturally, like a slow dance choreographed by the universe itself. Your mind drifts gently to the scientists who spend their lives peering into this quiet code. They observe, they measure, they marvel. But there is also mystery, the kind that cannot be solved by formulas or microscopes alone. The deeper they look, the more the code seems to shimmer with questions rather than answers. Life is not a puzzle to be forced into completion. It is a river to be observed, a quiet story that stretches beyond any single understanding. You imagine yourself reaching into this river, not to change it, but to feel it, to sense the rhythm of possibility. You place your hand near the strands, and though you cannot touch them, you feel their hum, a vibration that resonates with your own heartbeat. There is wonder here, but also humility. To shape life's code is not merely to bend it to one's will. It is to understand its whispers, to follow its quiet guidance, and to respect the intricacy that has been crafted over eons. The river of DNA stretches endlessly, twisting and folding into shapes you cannot fully see, yet your mind begins to sketch its patterns. Some sequences are like ladders stretching into infinity, others coil like soft springs, storing energy and memory. Each mutation, each small change, becomes a note in a symphony you can almost hear. It is a melody of chance and necessity, of survival and creativity, playing slowly, deliberately, across the eons. And now, you begin to imagine the possibility of shaping that code yourself, not with instruments or machines, but with intention and thought. What might it mean to guide the river, to influence the story it tells? Would you move a single letter, a single note in that symphony, and watch how it ripples outward into forests, into oceans, into the vast sky? You sense the weight of such a gesture, the responsibility woven into every choice, and yet you also feel a tender thrill. Creation is not only ancient and vast, it is intimate, personal, a quiet conversation between what is known and what is yet to emerge. In this quiet imagining, you see the beauty of balance. Life is resilient because it is not fragile. It bends under pressure, it adapts, it flows. And yet, even in its flexibility, it is astonishingly precise. Every cell that divides, every protein that folds, every signal that travels along a neuron, is part of a delicate choreography that has been rehearsed through billions of years. You feel your breath slow even more as you contemplate this, your mind tracing the pathways of cause and effect, of chance and design. You let yourself wonder about the future. What would it mean to write a new chapter in life's story? To imagine cures for diseases, or to create forms of life that have never existed? Could the river of code itself teach us how to care, how to honor the patterns that sustain life? And as you think, you feel a gentle humility settling over you. This is not a task to be taken lightly. To touch the code of life is to touch something timeless, something that stretches far beyond the limits of any single life. The hum of possibility grows softer now, blending into the quiet rhythm of your own body. You feel connected, yet aware of distance, like floating above a landscape you can only partially see. And in that distance, there is beauty, the knowledge that some questions are meant not to be answered, but to be held, cherished, and carried gently. You imagine a tiny seed, carrying a blueprint of the forest within it. Its code is not random, it knows when to sprout, when to wait, when to unfold into branches and leaves. And yet, it cannot know the wind that will blow across its branches or the rain that will kiss its roots. Life's code is a dialogue between what is written and what is experienced. You sense the same in yourself: patterns, instructions, and yet infinite room for growth and surprise. As the thought drifts, you envision the creatures who carry this code, each a miracle of structure and spontaneity. A hummingbird's wing, beating 100 times per second, obeys the quiet orders of the same fundamental letters that shape a tree, a dolphin, a human heart. There is poetry here, a poetry that no pen can capture fully, a rhythm that no music can match. You feel the awe seep into your bones, a soft, slow realization that creation is always ongoing, always a work in progress. And now, your mind rests on the quiet question again: what does it truly mean to shape life's code? Perhaps it is not about mastery or control. Perhaps it is about listening, observing, and moving gently, like touching water without disturbing the ripples. Perhaps it is about curiosity, patience, and a willingness to sit with uncertainty. You feel the question fold around you, a soft weight, not burdensome, but comforting, like the closing of a chapter in a book you are not ready to leave behind. The river continues to flow, unseen but alive, carrying with it infinite possibilities. You feel yourself drifting along its current, knowing that each discovery, each gentle insight, is part of a longer journey that stretches beyond this moment, beyond your own imagination. You are both observer and participant, feeling the dance of life in the quietest, smallest ways, and understanding, slowly, that to shape life is also to honor it. Your eyes close softly, even as your mind traces the gentle spirals of DNA, the invisible symphony of proteins and cells, the subtle, slow heartbeat of the living world. You feel gratitude for the mystery, for the questions that have no immediate answers, for the delicate beauty that surrounds every living thing. And in this moment, you rest with the knowledge that some stories are meant to be carried into dreams, not solved, and that the journey of curiosity itself is enough. As sleep begins to brush its fingertips across your consciousness, you hear the river of life humming softly, as if inviting you to linger just a little longer. And in that quiet hum, you sense the story stretching on, beyond the chapters, beyond the pages, reaching into the infinite night. The question remains, soft and persistent: what does it mean to shape life's code? And you let it linger, gentle and unresolved, as you drift toward dreams.